Hi, everybody. Mike Sarna from Meadow Baptist with another Bible story for you. The Girl No One Wanted. This is the story of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah out of Genesis 29 and 30. This is from the Jesus Storybook Bible. There were once two sisters. The youngest sister was very beautiful, and her name was Rachel. But the older sister wasn't beautiful at all. Some thought her to be quite ugly, and her name was Leah. Rachel was the kind of girl who always gets invited to parties and chosen for the team. Everyone loved her, and poor Leah, no one hardly even noticed her. One day, their cousin Jacob came to stay. He was one of Isaac's sons, and he was on the run. Jacob had stolen and cheated and made some enemies. If you remember, he stole his brother's birthright and the blessing, including his own brother, and now he was hiding. The funny thing is, Jacob, of all people, was the one God gave the special promise to, the same promise he gave his grandfather Abraham. I will rescue the world through your family. But then God chooses people we least expect, as we will see. Jacob stayed a long time working for his uncle Laban. One day Laban said, "Jacob, I've decided to pay you for your work. What do you want?" A sudden thought struck him, though. How about one of my daughters? There they are with the veils on their faces. I don't know one from the other, do you? Well, Jacob looked at Rachel and he looked at Leah. Who would he choose? Well, he chose Rachel because the Bible tells us he loved her the first time he saw her. "I'll work 7 years for free," Jacob said, "if I can marry Rachel." So Jacob worked 7 years, and at last his wedding day arrived. But that night, Laban played a nasty trick on Jacob. Instead of sending Rachel to marry Jacob, he sent Leah. Now, in those days, they didn't have electricity, so it was dark in their tent, and besides, women wore veils, and you couldn't see their faces properly. So Jacob suspected nothing. The next morning, Jacob woke up and screamed, "Laban!" His new wife was lying beside him, but it wasn't Rachel, it was Leah. He jumped out of bed and cried again for his father-in-law, "You scoundrel!" But Laban said, "Hey, work for me another 7 years, and then you can marry Rachel." So Jacob worked for Laban another 7 years, and at last Rachel became his wife. Now Jacob had 2 wives, but of his 2 wives, he loved Rachel the best. You know, it tells us nowhere that we need to have more than one wife. My goodness. "No one loves me," Leah said. "I'm too ugly." But God didn't think she was ugly. And when he saw Leah was not loved and no one wanted her, God chose her to love her specifically, to give her a very important job. One day, God was going to rescue the whole world through Leah's family. See those kids following her? Now, when Leah knew God loved her in her heart, suddenly it didn't matter anymore whether her husband loved her the best or if she was the prettiest. Someone had chosen her. Someone did love her with a never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. That's the way God's love is for you. So when Leah had a baby boy, she called him Judah, which means, "This time I will praise the Lord." And that's just what she did. And you'll never guess what God gave Leah. You see, when God looked at Leah, he saw a princess, and sure enough, that's exactly what she became. One of Leah's children's children's children would be a prince, the Prince of Heaven, God's son. The prince would love God's people. They wouldn't need to be beautiful for him or to love him. He would love them with all of his heart, and they would be beautiful because he loved them. Well, thanks for joining us for another Bible story. Join us again next time. See ya.